This is a fairly long video of probably our best day in Tasmania for the Tullah loop, staying at the Tullah Lakeside Lodge. And if you find that you're familiar with a lot of this and you don't need to look through it, well, by all means, skip ahead. But yeah, look, I think we do Tasmania's possibly best road, and we head up the Murchison towards Waratah to kick off. It's a nice road, it's always a great surface and free-flowing. But we're actually heading for possibly what I consider the best road in Tasmania after going from Waratah. When you're riding into Waratah, it's hard to believe that once upon a time Waratah had the world's largest tin mine. Anyway, we'll be back to Waratah later because we're doing an out and back ride to Savage River, possibly one of Tasmania's best roads. And this is Waratah Road. It says 36 kilometres to Savage River. So you start off with just some basic riding for the first 4 or 5 kilometres before the road gets to be very interesting and exciting. The first few Ks just these smooth sweepers, just getting you warmed up for the occasion. The road surface overall is very good. You might notice a few patches along the way and there's a little bit of road work. On this side, heading towards Savage River, there are a few little patches that you'll see, and less going back, but overall the road is excellent. If you rode on past Savage River, the road turns to gravel, and that will take you to Oonah, where we were yesterday. So we didn't come this direction yesterday, so we could ride Pyman Road, and we came this direction today, so we could do it in both directions. You'll notice that heading towards Savage River, there's a lot of descent riding, so you get to ride back up when on the way back. Although we did cut out heaps of twisty riding footage, which is very similar to what you're seeing anyway, we've really struggled to take pieces out. And anyone who hasn't done this road, well, that'll be good for you to see what you're missing. And if you know the road well, you might want to skip forward, because I think this is one of our best riding days in Tasmania. So there's plenty more on different areas. In actual fact, the last time we did this ride, it was in torrential rain, so that wasn't really fun, but we just wanted to still do the ride. You'll also notice that we're riding through different environments. The surroundings change quite a bit, and the road here in particular is very, very nice. Now, Savage River is an iron ore mining town created specifically to house the workers. You could be thinking, where's all the trucks carrying all the iron ore? Well, that's an interesting one, because what they've actually done is they've put a pipe in from Savage River mining to Burton, where the iron ore is broken down and fits in the pipe and just gets sent along its way. You may notice, or have noticed, glimpses of a river, a nice blue river on the right hand side as we're going along this beautiful area. And that just indicates we're getting closer to our turnaround at the Savage River. We really did have a lot of fun on this ride out, and we were actually having a few laughs together with just the intensity of the twist going from side to side. So look, there's the river you can see ahead there. But yeah, look, this is the really nice, smooth, great place to ride. At this point it's about 9:30 a.m. and the road is Waratah Road, and when we reach Savage River the road changes to Oonah Road, which takes you all the way back to Oonah. And we hadn't seen any cars for the entire trip out, and we just turn as soon as we get to Savage River and head back, and we don't see a car for the trip back either. And the road virtually finishes off all the way to Savage River with these beautiful twisties, and you can see the camber is even the right way as well. So the plan's just to turn around, head back to Waratah, have a drink, clean the visors, and take a couple of photos of the Waratah Waterfall, which is just amazing to see this little waterfall on the main street. But here it is, Savage River, where the miners parked their cars, and we just turn around at that point and head back to Waratah. There's still a hotel and petrol station in Waratah, but the restaurant's been closed for a few years. Somebody bought that and is using it as their house at the moment. So we leave Waratah and make our way to the Hellyer Gorge, another great ride, which is this left-hand turn not far out of Waratah. Most of the A10 roads are a great surface, and this one's no different. It's really good passing through, and I always like this bit where you go through the canopy of the trees, and I don't think I'd ever got footage of it before, maybe once a few years back. We'll pass through a bit of different scenery, some forestry areas, some straight roads, sweepers, and as the road starts to peel down a little, you'll see this 11 kilometres of twisty sign, and this is the indication you're heading down to the Hellyer Gorge, and that's where there's a little picnic area at the bottom. This is a great ride. The road tightens a little as you head down the hill. We've got a bit of a smear on the camera, I'll clean that off a little bit later. And yeah, look, this is just a well-known, really beautiful ride. We felt so lucky again. We just hadn't passed or seen any cars. We do see a couple going in the other direction, and we recently passed a few motorbikes also enjoying this road. Although it's only 31 kilometres from Waratah, we always seem to stop at the rest area at Hellyer Gorge. Perhaps there's a toilet there, that could be a reason. It just seems to be a nice place to stop. There's a guy here from Canada who's by himself, and he'd rented a bike from TMTR. That's Phil at Tasmania Motorcycle Tours and Rentals, and yeah, he said he was a great guy, which we know he is. So back on the bikes, and yeah, there's still more good riding on this particular road, the Murchison Highway, but out of the Hellyer Gorge now, and it's the climb out. And we're going to do something a little different, not too far ahead, and that's when we get to Oonah Road, and we do the first and the only bit of dirt. We're going to do a bit of gravel, about 8 kilometres along Oonah Road. That said, the ride out is still really great, and both directions are as good as one another. Also, I'm not sure which is the better of the two, perhaps going the other way. The typical ride through here would be up through Yolla and then maybe Wynyard or Stanley. But I think this ride that we're doing today is one of the best rides that I've done for a day ride in Tasmania. Now Oonah Road's an interesting one. It starts off 8 kilometres of easy gravel, and then you'll see that we go onto some fresh bitumen, so it appears there's a chance that they are sealing this road and they're coming from the other direction, or they might have just repaired some of the sealed. I don't know, I haven't really checked that out, but the road is not just straight, it goes through like here, the rainforest area. Very, very nice, pretty easy riding, that's for sure. In this bit of roadworks, they've closed off one lane, and it's not too far before you actually reach the bitumen. So some of this road does look freshly sealed, and I'm not sure how long ago they did this, but Tasmanian people would know a lot better. And look, here's an example right now. It's beautiful. The nice thing was, I wasn't really expecting this road. We hadn't been on it before. It had just free-flowing sweepers on a nice undulated road. Although we're not too far from the north coast, you're out there in the country just enjoying the ride. And to quantify why I say this is one of our best riding days, I like a day where it's country riding, lots of good twisties, and throw in a few good waterfalls and lookouts to add to the scenery. Those who know this area would know that Guide Road is going to take us to Guide Falls. That's a nice stop. So that's where we're heading right now. The surface is still really good, looks pretty fresh, and there's no shortage of good bends too. We make this right-hand turn, and it's still called Guide Road, and just to put you exactly where this is, 17 kilometres approximately from Guide Falls up to Burton, so it's not far from the north coast at all. Yeah, just continuing to show the footage here, how you can see it's just country riding, it's just the peaceful stuff that I really love. Last kilometre to the falls is on West Ridley Road. So this is we ride up. So this is road from here. There's where the toilet area is, down the bottom of the river where the falls at the top. And this is quite a steep climb up the top. We did something a bit silly. We went to the falls, walked down, and we walked right down to where the toilet area was, and then walked up to the top here in our bike gear. That was not a very sensible move. But the falls, yeah, they're pretty impressive. Heading back out, it's getting near lunch and it's really hot weather, so we've headed for the Ampol Roadhouse at Hellyer. This was a planned fuel stop. but we're going to get a bite to eat there as well. But it turned out that there was air conditioned inside, and there was a table and chairs as well. So we sat in and enjoyed the nice cool temperature. The great scenery, country roads and quality surfaces we're not done with yet. So we continued down into an area which we'd really enjoyed before, particularly this ride down towards the lookout into Guns Plains. It's a great view. Last time we rode here it was pouring rain and nice and green, still right in the middle of summer. You actually ride across the valley and then start riding up the mountain on the other side. There's a few straights around here, but you'd probably by now you're due for a few bits of straight riding. You can take in the scenery a little more. But as you start climbing the mountain area, obviously the road's going to be twistier again. And we're heading now for Delaney Falls. Not a bad ride up to the falls. The valley is now on your left, and the road that leads there is pretty good surface as well. Google Maps still lists this as Delaney Falls, but it's been renamed to Preston Falls. I think that's how it currently works. The falls is okay. It's certainly worth the little walk that you've got to get there. We then are going to wind our way towards Castra, and there's a few houses as you can see in these areas, which are obviously farmhouses, but again very sparse and a lot of countryside riding. The feature of these roads is steep descents, winding steep descents down towards the plateaus or rivers below. This bit levels out through the plateau in this valley, and I thought that was sort of it for the steep riding, but not for far further. Got even steeper down to the next river crossing. Yeah, we're going to pass through central Castra and then head on to upper Castra before we're going to make our way across to the, we used to call it Cradle Mountain Road, but it's a C132. So what have we done? We've done heaps of nice country roads, twisty roads, perfect riding roads, 3 waterfalls, 1 lookout, so we still must have at least another lookout to go. We earlier passed through Upper Castra and now we're heading down towards the Wilmot River. As you can see, the road has already started to descend. These next few kilometres are even steeper than before. interesting place to live, a recently built home. And a few tight corners, assisting with the steep descent down to the river crossing, well, the bridge. The climb out from the bridge up to the road known as the Back Road, which takes us down to Wilmot Road, or the C132, through the township of Wilmot. Our last stop for the day is Burton's Lookout, and it's a beautiful vista view of Mount Roland in the far ground over there, and it's once again it's nice and green. The sign's got some useful information of the area. We wind our way down to Wilmot Road, the part of the C132, which is the best way to get from Devonport to Cradle Mountain. That's a great ride. Passing through the township of Wilmot, and not too far to go now back to Tullah. We've got to first of all pass the Cradle Mountain turn off, re-link to the Murchison Highway and head back to Tullah. But of course the good news is there's still plenty of twisties to go. The duration of the road is actually called Cradle Mountain Road, and riding it from 4th all the way to Cradle Mountain is a really good ride. We've also been on this road before where it was a lot busier with cars than it is on this particular ride. Well, we were lucky again, and by now we're getting a little bit later in the afternoon. I'm not sure if it was about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, maybe 3 o'clock by now. This road on the left is Oonah Road, which is a good way to get to Sheffield or even Deloraine, but it's a nice windy road down to the Oonah Bridge crossing. We typically fill up when we get into our destination each afternoon, but we don't do it on this particular ride, and in any case we would have ridden down to Rosebery and filled up. It's a great ride down to Rosebery as well, but that's a good bit. But because we're heading that way tomorrow, we'll go through to Queenstown and fuel up at Queenstown. So there's the map, perfect day on the bike. That's the bit we've still got to do, and we get to Tullah, have a nice drink, and that's the view of the lakeside, and great place to go for a walk after dinner.